over the past 10 years, Christian nationalists have led secret efforts to basically influence the Supreme Court of this nation. And a pair of leaks were revealed a week ago, and they detail the extent of the corruption. Now, a few days before, the New York Times, basically, in the past few days, the New York Times set off a bombshell with a new investigative report in which former Christian right leader Rob Schenck engaged in backroom dealings with conservative justices receiving access to confidential info. And he even knew the outcome of the 2014 Supreme Court Hobby Lobby decision before, well advance of the time period before it was announced to the public. And according to Schenck himself, he had the big Christian right funders donate to the Supreme Court Historical Society in exchange for access to justices at events. And as part of Schenck's Ministry of Emboldenment campaign, two donors ingratiated themselves with Justice Alito. During a dinner, they learned of the Hobby Lobby outcome directly from Mr. Alito and immediately afterwards tipped off Schenck. This is the truth. This is corruption at the highest level. Christian nationalists are coordinating with the extremists on the Supreme Court because religion cannot function by itself, so it has to ingratiate itself with government. And they're not going to stop with abortion because that's only the beginning. And you can pretty much tell what's coming next. Earlier, leaked audio of a call between anti-abortion groups and Tennessee lawmakers revealed that these anti-choice extremists are coming for in vitro and contraception next. Predictable. Very predictable. And knowing religious extremists, it's never enough with them. They're not satisfied with the law they passed in Tennessee in 2019 that bans abortion with zero explicit exceptions for rape, severe fetal anomalies, incest, and the pregnant patient's health, and puts doctors who perform abortions in Tennessee at risk of up to 15 years, a decade and a half in prison. Groups like National Right to Life, Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, and the Charlotte Lozier Institute are plotting what to do once the negativity about their extreme law subsides. Their answer? Regulation of contraception and IVF, one Tennessee lawmaker put it on the call, even suggesting mining health data to track and investigate doctors to determine if the abortions they provided were truly necessary. Again, Christian nationalists and Christians pretending that they're the victim, the persecuted, and the oppressed, while actually being the oppressors, the persecutors, and the victimizers in action again. We cannot allow opposition to this sort of shit subside. And there are some states that are already fighting back. In my state, California, Michigan, and Vermont, voters enshrine the right to reproductive choice in their state constitutions. And in Kentucky and Montana, attempts to restrict abortion rights were defeated. Thank goodness. But we can't stop. It's been crystal clear for the past 5 years that we can no longer rely on the Supreme Court to protect our rights. Then again, the Supreme Court is part of the government, and the government is a puppet of the religious right, so yeah. That's why we have to keep building power at the state, federal, and local levels. Because we know the other side isn't going to give up without a fight. They're well funded, well connected, and always pulling on the strings of their puppets, the government, to get their way. They've got too much invested on their side. And they've been preparing for this moment for years. And we have to stop them.